Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating mystery. Why is it that a nation absolutely brimming with untapped potential sees so few of its people actually reach the pinnacle of their fields? We're going to explore the real, everyday cost of neglected passions, and better yet, we're going to map out a concrete roadmap to absolute greatness. To do this, we'll be pulling from the core concepts of Robert Greene's legendary book, Mastery. Let's get right into it.
Look at this staggering contrast. India possesses a distinct advantage that literally no other country has right now, a youth population even larger than China's. And we all know a country's ultimate success depends heavily on its youth. Yet despite having well over 1 billion people, we only see a very small, select handful of individuals actually making a globally recognized name for themselves. So what's holding back this massive tidal wave of potential? Well, when you ask people this, they almost immediately point fingers at the government or the system. But is that really the root cause here?
Actually, the reality is much closer to home. You see, when faced with a tough situation, human beings generally have two options. The first is what we call playing the blame game. Ask a student why they failed a test, and they might say, "Oh, the teacher caught me cheating," or "I got stuck on the first bench," right? They rarely ever say, "You know what, I just didn't study hard enough." And we do this all the time. We blame the government, our circumstances, our families, because playing the victim is always the easiest option. It requires absolutely zero hard work or energy to just point a finger and complain.
But here's the thing. If we want to actually change our outcomes, we have to choose the second option. True success requires extreme personal responsibility, not external blame. If you look at the stories of highly successful people, you'll quickly realize they faced immense obstacles too. Many had governments, entire societies, or even their own families working totally against them, but they succeeded anyway. How? By completely dropping the blame game. When you stop believing your life is controlled by outside forces, you finally realize just how much power you actually have to fix things yourself.
Now, this lack of personal ownership ties directly into a massive societal trap. From a very young age, kids are constantly pressured away from their genuine interests. Imagine a kid who dreams of being a boxer. They're usually scolded, right? Laughed at, told that sports won't provide a secure future. Instead, society heavily funnels them into so-called safe careers. They are essentially forced to become doctors or engineers purely for financial security. And their minds become so narrowed by this intense pressure that they don't even consider other possibilities.
As a result, India produces the largest number of doctors and engineers globally. That might sound like a huge point of pride, but the reality is actually quite tragic. It's estimated that over 90% of these professionals are just doing it for the money, or maybe just to satisfy societal expectations. They sit in college lectures where 5 minutes feels like an absolute hour because they completely lack the true passion needed for quality work. We end up with this massive quantity of professionals, but the quality suffers because their hearts were just never in it to begin with.
Just think about the monumental waste of human potential happening here. Imagine a person who genuinely loved martial arts, someone who could have achieved mastery in judo and brought home an Olympic gold medal for their country. Instead, they settle for being an average IT engineer. They spend their days sitting in a cubicle, earning maybe $15,000 to $20,000 a month, doing work they simply do not care about. By chasing a paycheck instead of a passion, we are literally wasting our strongest national asset.
So how do we break this destructive cycle? Well, we can turn to the wisdom found in Robert Greene's acclaimed book, Mastery. Greene lays out a very concrete 3-step framework for shifting away from mediocrity and achieving world-class excellence in literally whatever you do. These 3 principles are find your calling, find a mentor, and finally, the 10,000 hours rule.
Let's break these down starting right at the very foundation. Step 1, find your calling, which really means prioritizing passion over paychecks. The absolute first thing you must do to achieve greatness is discover the profession you actually want to master. You have to ignore what society tells you to pursue. You need to find the work that inherently makes you feel alive, the work you are deeply, genuinely passionate about. Now, why is this passion so absolutely critical? Because mastery demands thousands of focused hours. You cannot force greatness. The journey to becoming world-class requires intense learning and relentless practice. And you can only survive that kind of rigorous daily grind if you genuinely love the work. If you're forcing yourself to do something just for the money, there's no way you'll be able to sustain the deep, long-term focus required to become a true master. It's just not going to happen.
Which naturally brings us to step 2, find a mentor and become an apprentice.
Think about it. Time is our most limited resource in life. Trying to figure everything out entirely on your own is highly inefficient. It's slow, it's frustrating, and it is filled with avoidable mistakes.
To reach world-class levels, you need to learn from someone who has already mastered the craft. Learning from a mentor provides accelerated, guided growth. They teach you the shortcuts, right? They help you navigate the pitfalls they've already experienced firsthand. Now, I know finding an incredible in-person mentor can be really difficult, but thanks to technology, you have perfect alternatives. If you can't find a mentor in person, you can apprentice under them by reading their books or studying their materials on the internet. Books are literally one of the cheapest and most effective ways to just download the wisdom of the world's smartest people straight into your brain.
Once you have your calling and your mentor, you arrive at the third and final step, the 10,000 hours rule. This is the ultimate grind to greatness. 10,000. It's a massive number, isn't it? But it's the ultimate test of your dedication. Because finding your passion and a mentor only sets the stage. To actually reach world-class status, whether you want to be a top-tier software developer or a master piano player, you have to put in the work. Studies suggest that 10,000 represents the minimum amount of time required to truly sharpen a skill to the level of mastery. And remember, this isn't just passive time spent on the clock. Oh no, this is 10,000 hours of purely focused, deliberate practice. It is the sheer volume of effort that separates the good from the absolutely great.
And this brings us to the ultimate truth of competition. Hard work beats talent. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a highly talented person who only puts in 3 hours of practice a day. Now, what if an entirely untalented person commits to grinding out 6 hours of purely focused practice every single day? That untalented person will consistently defeat the naturally gifted one, every time. Talent is just a starting line, but the sheer volume of focused hours, that is what actually wins the race.
Now, to prove these abstract principles actually operate in the real world, we only need to look at India's first woman to win an Olympic silver medal, the incredible PV Sindhu.
Let's walk chronologically through her amazing journey. Notice how early she started. At just 8 years old, she found her calling. She knew badminton was her ultimate passion, and she fully committed to it. And look at the grind. Her daily training started at 4 a.m., requiring her to travel 56 kilometers every single day just to reach the center. But she didn't do it alone. She drastically accelerated her learning under the mentorship of badminton icon and Arjuna Award winner Palela Gopichand. Through years and years of this intense routine, she easily surpassed the 10,000 hours of practice required to become a world-class master.
So let's quickly summarize the core principles we've extracted from Robert Greene's mastery today. First, you must stop the blame game immediately. Take absolute, extreme responsibility for your own life. Second, completely ignore societal pressure and discover your true passion. Third, accelerate your learning by finding a mentor, whether that's in person or through books. And finally, commit completely to the 10,000 hours of focused practice. If you apply these takeaways directly to your own life, you can absolutely break free from the cycle of mediocrity.
We began this explainer by asking why so few of us succeed at a world-class level. Well, the answer is that success demands extreme personal ownership. You simply cannot blame anyone else for your trajectory. So I want to leave you by pointing that responsibility right back at you with one single, potentially life-altering question. What is your true calling? Figure that out, drop the excuses, and start putting in your hours.